Welcome everybody. Mentor Monday in the month of April. And today, April 17th, we have an amazing topic. Florence from Kenya and myself, Claudia from Canada, would like to welcome you. Florence, how are you today? And how is the evening in Kenya? Where is she? Let me see if she's able.
I'm very well, thank you.
What is happening in Kenya tonight?
Nothing new. I would say there's nothing new.
What was your most exciting moment of the day today during the day?
I visited a friend. We had a chat. Yeah, so, and then we were visiting somebody else. I didn't do much today. I was just visiting.
Visiting, and this is the interesting thing. While Florence is already at 8 p.m. in Kenya, I am at 1 p.m. in Canada. Dave is just starting. Our speaker of today, our Platinum International, he's just starting his morning. So this is why this is such a great opportunity. We can bring the message that we have 24 hours. It's like it's ongoing. So I do want to give the mic to our leader and speaker. But before that, I would actually like to share something that happened to me this weekend. And that was pretty amazing. And it has to do with our product and our topic of today, which is why for life. And why for life? Because TF is the most amazing thing we have. We have been touching on other subjects, but today we're going to talk about transfer factor itself. So let me tell you about what happened to me. On Friday, I got a phone call from a mom, and she has her child in the hospital. And what happens is that she said, oh, goodness. Sorry, I need to know how to turn that off. And so the mother calls me from the hospital and says that somebody talked to her about transfer factor and that they told her that she needs to call me. So I wasn't really sure how she got my number. And this is what's pretty amazing about the story. So I talked to the mom, and she tells me a really sad story that child went in for something. Child is 19, he's not a child, but 19 for a mom and still a small young man. And he went in for something, and now he is about to lose his feet. And so this is how incredible the story is. So she said circulation is not flowing. They told her that this product can help build the immune system. Immunity is completely down. They're putting hemoglobin. Well, mom is desperate. I don't get a lot of these calls in Canada. So right away, I try to find as much product as I can. I told her we need to give high doses, which is what Dave is going to talk about, because we need to really give that information to that immune system in large doses. Let me see what I can do. We don't carry a lot of stock in Canada, by the way. There's no LP points. And so I'm scrambling, getting this thing in there. But where my point of my story goes is that somebody showed a picture of somebody that at some point in some other part of the world got better because the immune system started working, and this man did not lose his feet. And so the picture has a lot of value. Like I said to the mom, remember that it's the immune system of your son that needs to trigger the response. It is not the product that is going to save your son's feet. But let me see what I can do. And Dave is going to explain this properly and slowly for everybody and for the recording. But the important part for me was that suddenly I started getting other phone calls. And so because there was a large group of over 170 people that were in the WhatsApp group, I was not in the WhatsApp group. And these people had been already for 3 or 4 days following or more, because he had gone in for something else following. And then the beautiful thing for me was that it now started linking to me. And so it started linking where 2 of my friends, one had already been in for life. They started going like, oh, we thought of you. We knew that when we saw that person that posted that picture that said that for life transfer factor had helped in another part of the world, we knew that you were the one that were the face, the distributor, the name in Toronto. And so now I got more calls from people saying, Do you have it? I said, okay, I'm doing what I can. Let's do what we can. So we found some bottles. People drove everywhere, got them to the hospital. The good news is that it's starting to work. And so the mom wrote today, and that's another story. We're not doing testimonials today. So the good news is we got the what he needed to get the immune system started, and it's starting to work. The good news is that this man who they had said will lose his feet in 7 days, and they're doing a chamber with oxygen or something, and with a lot of prayer from a lot of people in the world, and with our supplements, they're working on, now he will not lose his feet, he may lose his toes. They're still very black, and people continue praying and everything. So the whole story, you probably hear it everywhere in the world with our stories. And again, I don't want for life to cut this video, so I won't talk too much more about the health part. But the part I want to focus on is that I was really happy. I was really happy that I was able to be the face, the brand, and the name of the company when people started calling me and they were like, oh, we just remembered that it was you who has that. And we thought of you. And I started getting several calls during the weekend. And I said, okay, I am doing something. I mean, I needed to work more every day, but it's definitely bringing the transfer factor to the world and to the houses and the hospitals and everywhere that we need to put it out there. We hope that it's not every time somebody's losing a family member or a body part or something. We want to do it for prevention, obviously. But if you're able to brand yourself as the person in your city, in your church, in your neighborhood that people turn to, then for me, it was my miracle of God saying, I'm doing something right if people do know that I am the face of Transfer Factor. So that was my testimonial. Please continue. I posted in some groups, continue praying for Josue and for his health, and that continues to go the way that is going because it's going in the right direction. So that was my message for today, everybody. And now I want to turn it to you with our mentor, our platinum of platinums, Dave Daughtrey, who's going to give us an incredible talk. Please, pen and paper, because I already heard it in Spanish and it was amazing. So thank you, Dave. You have the mic.
Thank you, Claudia, and thank you, Florence. Everybody, thank you for being here today for a Mentor Monday. We do these every Monday, so please, maybe a Sunday evening. Well, I guess where you are over in Kenya, maybe Monday during the day, because it's your Monday evening there. It's our Monday morning here in the US. But reach out to your people, let them know that we're having Mentor Monday. We try to always have really good topics. Some are more educational for learning. Others will be more inspiring, motivating as we tell, stories and testimonies and so forth. But today it's going to be one of those ones where it's a combination of both. I was mentioning earlier, before we got started, as people were coming in, that how grateful I am about, For Life. When people say, well, why For Life? Well, to me, one of the most important things is the stability of the company. You can have the world's best product, but if the company's not around and the product's not around for you, then what good does it do? And so we're very fortunate, very blessed to have a company that is run by people that understand the importance of remaining debt-free. They have no debt whatsoever. I read to you all that were on a few minutes ago, the statement by Tupperware. Earl Tupper started Tupperware in 1946. And here they are now. They just announced that bankruptcy is probable. Their stock dropped almost 100% last year. They can't pay their debts. They're going to basically violate the commitments that they have now. And so, we're in interesting times, you guys. And so it's important, to be with a company that is debt-free, but not just that. When you look at For Life, we're an innovative company. They don't depend on just one item, just one thing that we buy and sell. David Lisenby is continuously looking What can we do to make things better? Researching, being innovative. We started with Transfer Factor Classic, which is this product right here. Transfer Factor Classic. I still love this product. I take it. I give it to my dog, Odin, too. Then we came out with Transfer Factor Plus, Trifactor. And then we started targeting transfer factors, learning that how we can target transfer factors towards systems of the body, be it cardiovascular system, reproductive system, nervous system, and so forth, respiratory system. And so he's continuously, learning what we can do to make things better. Now we've learned about elements like zinc factor, gold factor, what they do for the body. So why is that important? Well, let me tell you all a story. I'm big in stories, as you know. This really doesn't pertain much to you in Africa, but it still is pretty fascinating. During the age of the Industrial Revolution that happened here in the United States, some big names were created. Cornelius Vanderbilt. I don't know if you've ever heard of him or not, the Vanderbilts, all right? Well, he owned at one point the majority of all the railroads in the United States. How about John D. Rockefeller? You might have heard of him. Oil, biggest oil tycoon ever in the world, all right? Well, these people, what set them apart from others? They were continuously looking at how to improve, how to make things better. Give an example. Cornelius Vanderbilt was competing with other railroads, and all of a sudden he started realizing it's not going to be about where we can go anymore, because we're going to cover the land and pretty much get everywhere. It's going to be about what we carry. So he teams up with John D. Rockefeller and says, I will take your kerosene all across the country. Well, Rockefeller says, that sounds great. I'll produce it for you. Well, at one point they got into an argument. Vanderbilt says to Rockefeller, you know what, I'm going to stop carrying your kerosene. You know what Rockefeller does? That's fine. I'm going to build pipes. I'll pipe it myself. So they're continuously looking and thinking what they can do to make things better and better. And that's one of the, amazing attributes of David Lisenby. He's always looking at what he can do to improve and make things better. Now, I'll say this, talking about products. One of the things you're going to see coming out with 4Life next year deals with nitric oxide. You can read about nitric oxide and what the benefits are of nitric oxide. But when you take our products, we have got products that are so far superior to other products out there. One thing we don't like to do, we do have some Me Too products, but we don't like to be a Me Too company. Well, what's a Me Too company? A company that just produces the same thing everyone else does. A big company took off, a few years back in the essential oil arena. And they took off with a splash because they're one of those companies that really knew about the marketing and the hype and all that. They're struggling now. Why? Well, because essential oils are a dime a dozen. They're all over out there. You can get essential oils anywhere, right? So now, yes, they're good. I'm not saying essential oils are bad. In fact, I wish we still had our T-Force. I loved our T-Force essential oil, all right? But the point I'm trying to make is this. 4Life wants to always remain on the cutting edge with cutting edge, innovative products. Now, another thing that makes 4Life different, patents. Does anybody here know how many patents 4Life now has? We used to say 60. 60 it's still in the PowerPoint. I need to change it. I just found out last week it's 82. We've now got over 82 worldwide patents on our products, on our technology. Why is all this important? Well, it's important if you want to build a serious business that's going to last for you and your family. Who wants to start a business and find themselves 10 years down the road or 20 years down the road or 5 years down the road having to start over again? You don't want to do that. You want to find a place you can settle down, go to work, focus, build your network. And you know what? Claudia just made a great point. People are now looking to Claudia because they recognize her as the transfer factor person, the transfer factor lady, the one that has this brand, this product. You see, it happens to me all the time as well. Well, why does that happen? because of longevity. When you're around long enough and you start making a name long enough, people will come to you. Why? Because everybody at some point in life has a need for better health. Or maybe they've just become wiser and they want to prevent problems. And so they just want to stay healthy, and their immune systems are important to them. So we're going to talk today about transfer factor. Now, understand, I knew nothing about transfer factor when I joined 4Life. Zero, nothing. So everything I've learned, I did not go to the University of Transfer Factor. I learned it by listening attentively to others. It could be a doctor like Dr. Robertson, our upline, Dr. Dwayne Townsend, our upline, who's an oncologist. Dr. Robertson was an emergency medical practitioner. Dr. Markowitz was a pediatrician. And you guys have Dr. Ojina over there in Kenya. So, listening to the doctors, I found it fascinating. Now, we have within 4Life, Dr. Brent Vaughn, Dr. David Vollmer. These are our scientists that will come on now and then, and they'll talk about transfer factor. Now, I just did a call, a Zoom recently with Dr. Brent Vaughn, and it was with the South Africa team, and it pertained a bit to horses, talking about horses being mammals, and we'll talk about this in a minute. But listening to Dr. Vaughn, I always find it fascinating because 90% of what Dr. Vaughn said for me was another validation of things that I already knew. Okay. Maybe I'll hear something new, that just triggers my thoughts, my memory. And I'm like, oh, hey, you know what? I heard mention of that, but I'm going to add that now when I talk transfer factor to people. Understand, people are going to ask you, what makes you different than other companies? What makes your product different than other products? So hopefully over the next 20 to 30 minutes, you will be able to learn and repeat what makes 4Life products different, what makes transfer factor different. So let's start with this. Number one, what makes transfer factor different? It is not a vitamin. It is not a mineral. It is not an herb. It's not medication. It's not a drug. It's none of those. So people might say, well, what is it? It is literally a messenger molecule. Now, some people might wonder what a molecule is. All right. Well, I don't really get into what molecules are other than there's big molecules, there's small molecules. All right. Transfer factor is a fairly small molecule. All right. Now, you can even say it's a chain of peptides or small nanoproteins. A lot of people have heard of protein before. Okay. Well, it's a very small protein. It's in a chain. Okay. Well, these transfer factors, where do they come from? They exist in every living mammal. Every animal from a giraffe to a zebra, and I'm talking Kenya, all right, to my dog Odin, who's right here next to me on the couch, to you and I, all right, we all have transfer factors. Excuse me, I'm sorry. For some reason, I get this pop-up. It says you've now left the Zoom meeting. I don't know, Claudia, why I get that. But anyhow, so transfer factors exist in all of us. But here's the thing. Transfer factors also have a life. They die. Some people have more than others. Now, let me give you an example about education. If I asked you all to take a test today on algebra or trigonometry or anything you might have studied back in high school, you think y'all would pass it? Some of you might. I wouldn't, that's for sure. I don't remember all that stuff. I'm 63 years old, okay? So as we get older, our bodies do the same thing. Our immune systems are less educated. Why do you think COVID affected older people more than younger people? because their immune systems are less educated. Now, younger people can have immune systems that are weak and compromised as well. All right. We're talking about the immune system. So it's important that we continuously keep our immune systems educated. So transfer factor, we extract it from a couple of different sources. One, colostrum. Why colostrum? Well, it is the richest source of abundance or abundantly, all right, there of transfer factors. There's an abundance of transfer factors in colostrum when you isolate these molecules and extract them within the first 24 hours after birth. Okay. Now, we don't take human colostrum. That would be a bit irresponsible, going to the hospitals and asking mothers to bear their breasts so we can take their colostrum. What we have learned is that every living mammal produces the same chain of polypeptides or transfer factors or nanoproteins, whatever you want to call them. Transfer factors is what they are. The same, identical, which means they're not specific to any species. The transfer factors now, okay? We're talking transfer factor. If you're talking other proteins such as casein, whey, those proteins are much bigger. Therefore, in many cases, they're not suitable for human beings. That's why people are lactose intolerant. That's why some people are allergic to casein and things like that. You see? So transfer factors are identical. If you think about it, what animals are outside exposed the most to different diseases, bacteria, viruses? Cows are, all right? They come in contact with just about everything out there. So we take the transfer factors within the first 16 hours. We don't even go 24 hours. We take the first 16 hours after the calf is born, and the calf gets plenty of this, by the way. Plenty. There's an abundance of it. In fact, the ranchers, and these are organic. If somebody says, well, is it? Yes, we work with family-owned farms that are organic farms. All right. So these are free grazing cattle. We take the first 16 hours, harvest that colostrum, all right, freeze it, and it's taken out to production in Utah. Goes to Utah for production. That's where our production plant is. So what sets 4Life aside, makes it different from other companies? We don't buy the product and resell it. We make it. We manufacture it. All right. That's huge. That means we're not dependent on any supplier, basically, and there's an abundance of cows. So that's why during COVID, when the supply line started, jamming up and people couldn't get supplies for products, and you couldn't even find a place to find a dishwasher because they couldn't get the parts. Cars was the same way. Not 4Life. We were pumping out transfer factor like crazy because we manufacture it. That's just another point. All right. So we take this transfer factor, and now it goes through the patented process of isolating these little fine molecules, extracting them for human consumption. Now, here's what's interesting. You have to maintain bioactivity of transfer factor. It's a bioactive molecule that will do certain things within your body. So if you look at the bottom of every product, you will see a lot. You can probably see the lot on this glass, okay? They test every single lot for its bioactivity to make sure it does what we say it does. So now, we know a little bit of history about transfer factor. Let me mention another part of history here. Transfer factors were discovered back in the late 40s. And somebody says, well, why didn't it make a big splash? Why didn't everybody just jump on it? Because it was the age of antibiotics. Antibiotics had been recently discovered, and everybody thought there was a miracle cure. Well, guess what? Here's something we've learned. You can't compete with God. Transfer factors really come from God, if you think about it. All right. It's humans, or it's any mammal's way of living. Okay. Antibiotics are manufactured, or they're man-made. And we've learned today that antibiotics really are not there to maintain health. There is no antibiotic to maintain health. Sometimes you could prevent death. Therefore, they are needed when necessary, but they're not there to be used day after day after day after day to maintain health. Transfer factors are, okay? So back to the whole manufacturing and consumption, and we're going to talk the benefits, okay? In the 80s, by the way, all right, I need to mention this. That's when transfer factor research really started to take hold, learning about transfer factors. What did we learn during that time frame in the 80s? We learned that it's not species specific. It pertains to all mammals. That's why I can give it to Odin. You can give it, that's why the horses in South Africa are benefiting from taking transfer factor. You see? So any animal, a giraffe, a zebra, if it's having, health challenges, let's say you've got a zoo and the animals are starting to die because there's some sort of virus going around, man, you get transfer factors there. Get them on transfer factors. All right. So that's what they discovered in the 80s, that transfer factors, number one, is not species specific. Number two, here's a technical word, okay? Maybe you might want to memorize this word. Transfer factors are polyvalent. What's polyvalent? Polyvalent means it covers a wide spectrum. You might say broad spectrum. So when someone says, well, does your product work for this or work for that? Or here's what I say. You have something called an immune system. Your immune system works for anything. That's what it's there for, to protect you against any threat, whatever it is. So if you've got a challenge, no matter what system it is, if it's reproductive, endocrine system, cardiovascular system, nervous system, respiratory, whatever system it is, yes, transfer factor will help because it addresses the immune system, and every system in your body depends on the immune system. Strong immune system, strong body, and all the other systems are strong. All right. So that's what we've learned, is it's polyvalent as well. Okay. So it's not species specific. Any animal can take it. It's polyvalent. But then we started learning some more recently. We've learned that transfer factors are in different sizes. They call it Dalton weight. All right. So when I'm talking to someone, this just happened over the weekend, Gabby and I, we went, she got a facial done and I actually got a massage at this place up north of here. And we were sitting around afterwards because it was a couple and they had friends over there from the Philippines. And we were talking, and you know me, if I'm with a group of people and we're talking, I ask what you do, and he's a software engineer, and the other guy, Ed, Jeff, was a software engineer. Ed flew Cobra helicopters. He was in the Navy. And talking to them, of course, then they ask me what I do, and I love it when you ask me what I do, because I tell them I'm a networker. Well, what's a networker? Start explaining, get into transfer factors, and I'm telling them about it. And it was interesting how we started to, because Jeff, being a software engineer, technical guy, he started mentioning a little bit about molecules and molecular weight. The Dalton weight of our molecule is very small, especially with the nanofactor. Why do we have something called tri-factor formula? When I started, it was classic. Well, it wasn't even classic. It was called transfer factor. That was it. Then they come up with transfer factor plus, and then tri-factor formula. Tri means three. There's three types of molecules in tri-factor. One, you've got your product from the bovine colostrum, which is really your classic. Two, you have, and that we call that ultra-factor now, ultra-factor. Then you have the ovo-factor, ovo meaning egg. We discover that avian sources as well produce a different type of transfer factor that does provide knowledge, all right, education for our immune systems. We can benefit from that. So that's extracted again from egg. Then we have the nanofactor. What's nano mean? Very, very small, very small. Well, what's the purpose of that? We've learned that the nanofactor provides the on and off wisdom or mechanism of the transfer factors. Why is that important? Because your immune system has a responsibility. Turn on when there's a threat and relax or turn off when there's not a threat. Or let's just say go into standby mode, like your computer goes into standby, right? Because it's not being used. Your immune system should do the same thing. When there's no threat present, it should relax. What happens when your immune system doesn't relax and it goes into overdrive and keeps working when there's no threat present? You have autoimmune problems all of a sudden. Could be anything from reproductive problems like Crohn's disease, which I did have, by the way, back in 1990, and have not had any symptoms since 1998 when I started using transfer factors. So autoimmune problems, you can address those by re-educating your immune system when to activate and when to rest. Extremely important for a healthy immune system. That's the nanofactor fraction, all right? That's its responsibility. Let's talk about the other responsibilities of transfer factor, what it does to the immune system. I mentioned earlier, throughout life, we all age, our immune systems go through all kinds of changes, all right? Some people are blessed to have extremely strong immune systems all throughout life. Others are not. Well, here's the challenge. Your immune system is never going to knock on your brain and say, I'm sorry, I'm tired, I'm taking a break. You're just going to get sick. And sometimes it could be something serious. All right? Well, you don't know. You don't know what kind of immune system you're born with. So therefore, we want to keep our immune systems healthy. And there's a lot of ways to do that too. Diet, exercise, all those things help. But what about education? I mentioned this when we started. There is no drug, no vitamin, no mineral, no herb on the planet that can do what transfer factor does. And this is what makes us different. Transfer factor provides knowledge, education, information, wisdom to the immune system, educating your immune system to identify threats, respond to those threats by eliminating them, and remember those threats. Now, I'm really big on analogies. I love to use analogies. I'm a storyteller. That's what a networker does. Hopefully all of you become wonderful storytellers. If you're not already, learn to share information in story form to people, okay? Well, let's talk about identification, identifying the threat. I see Tricia with us. Let's say Tricia, all right, she goes into the post office to send a parcel, Nairobi post office. And she sends her parcel off. As she's walking out the door, there's a poster on the wall. And on that wall is a picture of Dr. Ojina. It just says, R.K. Ojina. And there's a picture of him right there. All right. Colorful picture, by the way, in a nice blue suit and tie. But it says, Ojina, terrorist, wanted. Okay. $1 million reward. And Tricia sees this poster on the wall and she glances at it and says, oh, well, yeah, there's a good looking man dressed in a suit as a terrorist. She's walking out to her car. All of a sudden she hears this deep voice. Excuse me, ma'am, do you know what time it is? And she looks over at where this deep voice comes from. And there is Ojina. All right. She identifies him because of the poster. She didn't hear his voice from the poster. She couldn't identify him from the voice, but she did because she saw, she could see. That ability to identify Ojina will now give Tricia the option to make decisions. Now, what would Tricia do? I don't know. In fact, maybe we can ask Tricia. Hey, Tricia, turn your mic on. I'm curious. What would you do? I get different responses all the time. This is kind of fun. Are you there, Tricia? Unless she's in traveling right now. So I'll answer for her. She probably would first think $1 million reward and go after the money. All right, let's get the guy. I'm going to catch him. All right, but he's a terrorist. So maybe the poster said, dead or alive, run him over with her car.
Hi, Dave. I'm sorry. I was traveling.
I figured that. Okay. So, but
Sorry.
what would you do? You would take some sort of action, right? So anyhow, what I was saying, and Trisha probably just kind of got on here, but if Trish identified the enemy in Ogina, the point is this: she would respond. How could she respond? Because she recognizes the enemy. And that's what one of the main benefits of transfer factor is continuously providing knowledge so that our immune systems, can identify the enemy. Now, here's what's also important. So identifying the enemy is only one thing, all right? I mean, let's take a look at, you know what? I think a good example would be, and I'm just thinking of this off the top of my head, China and Taiwan. All right. Well, I think Taiwan may identify China as a possible enemy because they may want to take them over. And from what I just heard over the weekend, it's like a 14-1 difference between China and Taiwan. So it's obvious who's going to win that one. So even if you identify the enemy, does that mean that you're always going to win the war? No. You want to have as many soldiers available to fight in your favor. So how do you get more soldiers? You activate them. You produce more. Guess what transfer factor does? It increases the activity. We have studies that show transfer factor increases the activity of your natural killer cells. Natural killer cells, they do just what it says they are. They go out and they kill the enemy. They kill the threat. That's what you want. So you don't just want to identify the enemy. You want to eliminate the enemy. That's what transfer factor does. Then you've got the nanofactor portion of it, that fraction or component. It acts like a thermostat. Now I'm looking out my window today and it looks pretty gloomy out there. It was cold this morning. Our weather's crazy here. You know, one day it's hot, next day it's cold. I'm glad I've got a thermostat on the wall right here. It just keeps my temperature in my room nice and comfy. So I can work all day talking to all the people I talk to right from my home. If it's cold outside, well, it keeps it nice and cozy in here, keeps it warm. If it's hot outside, well, I get 2 vents, the AC starts to turn on and keeps it cool. All right. Transfer factor acts the same way in the body. It has an on and off mechanism. If there's a threat, it tells the immune system, kick on. All right, soldiers, let's go to work. All right, you're all prepared. Let's increase that activity and go get the enemy. Once the job is done, your immune system is supposed to calm down. That's where the nanofactor portion comes in, or the fraction. It tells the immune system, all right, good job, you guys. Relax, take a break. If your immune system does that, it's going to be healthy and strong. That's what transfer factor does. Now, let's talk about curing. So let me just real quick, these 2 things. One, educate. That would be the word. Transfer factor is the only thing on this planet that can transfer immune knowledge to educate your immune system. The only thing that we know of. All right. I don't think we'll find anything else, but that's it. Transfer factor. Number 2, modulate. What's modulate? Modulate means turn on, turn off. It's smart. It knows when to turn on, when to turn off. Extremely important. All right. So when you're talking to someone about transfer factor, tell them it's the only thing on the planet that will actually educate your immune system. And it will also teach your immune system when to turn on, when to turn off. Now, I understand that we don't meet people and say, hey, Mark, how's your immune system doing today? Hey, Mary, how's your immunity today? Now somebody might say, well, you know what? Not very good. I'm kind of sick. I'm not feeling good. Right. But for the most part, we don't talk about our immune systems. We'll get into that in just a minute when we talk about some of the other products. All right. So we've talked about education. We've talked about modulating the immune system. All right. Let's talk real quick about curing, because a lot of times people will say, well, does it cure this or cure that? Well, let's say that you got sick, you got a cold. All right. And you just didn't do anything except maybe you drank some soup, got some rest, and it passed. Why didn't you die? Your immune system cured you. That's the job of your immune system, is to keep you cured. You see? So if your immune system is doing its job, you're always cured. So transfer factor doesn't cure anything. It just provides the immune system with what's necessary so your immune system can keep you cured. Or maybe you have a situation, an issue, you need to get back to reestablishing good health, and your immune system will assist you in doing that. But I'll be honest, I tell people this all the time. Sometimes I get a phone call. I've got a relative with stage 4 cancer. That looks like they're going to die. Will this cure them? I don't know. I know nothing about their health history, how long they've had it. It probably took them, years and maybe decades to develop what they have. So if you think you're going to get rid of it overnight, we have a neighbor here right now that had stage 4 colorectal cancer. Luckily, being a neighbor, she knew us and we knew her, got her on transfer factor. And this now we're going on probably close to 2 years. And she's doing great. Her energy's back. Her tumors are just about completely gone. So she's been very blessed. That's not always the case, though. So I'm very honest with people, but I'll say this. It's the only thing on the planet that will educate the immune system. And I'll tell you what, one thing I know for a fact, if you go through any type of treatment for cancer, well, let's take chemo. Chemo doesn't identify the good cells and the bad cells. It just destroys all the cells. So therefore, you want to have a strong immune system when you're going through that. So yeah, transfer factor will definitely help you when it comes to keeping your immune system strong and being able to go through any type of treatment. So these are all things I've learned, by the way, in through experience with people and listening to people that I've worked with. All right. So when it comes to curing, understand your immune system is what cures you. The product just provides the necessary education, all right, and the components to get your immune system doing its job. All right. Going back to what I said earlier, as we age, our immune systems become less educated, less vigilant. Well, now we have the ability to re-educate them. And even if you're a child, it's important to keep your immune system strong and healthy. And that's why I love these. I go through a bottle of these a week. Should be a month, but I just love them. I already took like 4 of them today. These are the Rio Vita gummies. All right. So these have antioxidants. I'm a big believer in antioxidants, acai berry, pomegranate, blueberry, elderberry. So you got a lot of the berries, the high-powered fruits in here, along with transfer factor. Another one of my favorite products I like to take is our Energy Go Sticks. Tropical is my favorite. I know there's berry, there's kiwi strawberry, there's orange. I just love the tropical. In fact, I'll even mix one of these with Rio Vita sticks. I put the two together and put it in a shaker cup, and I'll drink that. It gives me great energy. I love the way I feel. It's got guarana, it's all natural, maca, yerba mate, and then I get the antioxidants from the Rio Vita sticks. Now this morning, I'm drinking a ProTF protein. It's a dark shaker bottle you can't see in there, but this is the vanilla flavor. Why do I love the protein? Well, I want to keep my muscle mass, good proportion in my body. This helps burn fat, organ fat, surface fat. Studies, that's one thing about For Life, a lot of studies. We make sure we go through validation, substantiation. Things have to be researched. We don't want to just believe us. Look at the study. Can't deny science. Well, you've got 540 something % of burning fat, and for 3 hours. I love the fact that when I drink ProTF protein, I'm not hungry. For 3 hours, I'm not hungry. And at the same time, it just helps me with my branched chain amino acids. I get all those. Again, great for my muscles. So I love ProTF, and I've got a lot of professional athletes that use ProTF protein. They love it. And even celebrities like Viola Davis, In fact, I don't know if you saw Gabby's Instagram recently, but the movie producer is doing another movie, and she's got all of them using the protein, the ProTF and the protein bars and the Go Sticks. Anyhow, so we have taken transfer factor and combined it with other ingredients to give you double or triple benefit. Rio Vita, Get all of your antioxidants. There's companies out there that just sell an antioxidant product. Here's a juice. It's got all these great antioxidants. We've got that with transfer factor. Some companies have protein. We've got a protein and it's hydrolyzed, by the way. What's hydrolyzed? Your body absorbs up to 98% of the protein. You get protein, other proteins are just full of fillers. You absorb maybe 50%. So you get double the benefit of absorption of our protein. And it's got all the BCAAs, branch chain amino acids, and it's got transfer factor. So that's what sets it apart from everything else. Our energy. There's other companies out there that sell energy drinks. Well, we've got transfer factor in ours again, and it's a natural product. So a lot of our products that we have, in fact, a lot of them, all have transfer factors in them. And then we combine other components that benefit maybe the heart, all right? Like resveratrol, that everybody now knows that that's good for the heart. Like some people say, drink a glass of wine because it has resveratrol in it, all right? Don't drink too much though, become an alcoholic, all right? But we put the resveratrol in our product, okay? So there's a lot, CoQ10, things like that are great for the heart. We've got things for let's take the men. Men, if you're over 40 years old, I recommend Milpro. I love Milpro, all right? I take it all the time, take it every day, all right? It's great for the prostate, all right? It's got serotonin, my bad, all right? Saw palmetto, all right? Many of mine are saw palmetto. Anyhow, it's got other ingredients that are very, very good for the prostate, all right, with transfer factor. So we combine transfer factor in many, many of our products, even like our aqua mask as well. So there you go, transfer factors. Let's do a quick recap and then we'll see if there's any questions at all. Not a vitamin, not a mineral, not a herb, all right, not a drug or medicine. It is a messenger molecule that is extracted from a couple of different sources, mainly colostrum, all right? Oh, but I need to touch on this too real quick. Mainly colostrum, but also from the egg yolk, all right? Is it colostrum? No, it is not colostrum. What makes it different than colostrum? I talked about this a minute ago. Colostrum has a lot of other large proteins that are species specific. They're specific to the cow or whatever mammal it comes from. Let's take the cow, casein, all right, whey. A lot of those proteins are more towards, especially the casein, all right, towards the cow. Well, all of that's removed. When you take and extract only the transfer factor molecule, you leave the rest behind. Let me give you an example. Remember, I'm real big on analogies, storytelling. I look at colostrum like crude oil, the raw material. If I dig deep enough underground, I might find oil. That would be the colostrum, let's say, the raw material. Now, you can use oil. Oil can be used for certain things. But if I take that crude oil and I put it in the gas tank of your car, will your car run? No. I'll kill it if I put that oil in your gas tank. Well, what if I take that gas or fuel from your gas tank and go down to the local airport and I put it in the plane? Will the jet fly? No, it won't fly. It probably won't even start up. And if I take that fuel from the airplane and I go to Elon Musk's SpaceX, where I think they were going to try to launch a rocket today, would they be able to launch a rocket to Mars with that fuel from the airplane at the airport? No. Why not? Because there's a process to get to that rocket fuel. It's a filtration, purification process. That's the difference between colostrum and transfer factor. Your raw material is your colostrum. You process it, you got to keep it bioactive. You can't heat it up, can't pasteurize it because then you're going to kill it. So you got to maintain bioactivity, which 4Life tests every lot, all right? Finally, after the process, you've got that rocket fuel, transfer factor. That's what we've got, you guys. So hopefully you'll all be able to share more about transfer factors with people. You can go back and listen to this again, but as I've said, not a vitamin, not a mineral, not a herb. It's a messenger molecule, educates the immune system. Talk about education a little bit. Just tell someone, do you remember everything you learned back in high school? No, your immune system's the same way. You keep it educated, you keep it vigilant, you keep it active, it's prepared to fight, all right? That's what you want with your immune system, right? So you can have a whole conversation with someone about transfer factor, and you can probably do it in, I don't know, 5 to 10 minutes, unless they've got a lot of questions, and you can get even more into depth. Here's what I found though. KISS, keep it simple and stupid, as crazy as that sounds, because the more complicated you get, guess what they're going to do? They're going to try to get complicated back. So I use what ammunition I have up here with the person I'm talking to. I happen to be talking to a software engineer and a Cobra helicopter pilot over the weekend, and they were throwing some darts at me. You know, they were coming at me with questions that were more technical, even Dalton weight. And I explained the difference between, you know, a large protein such as casein and nanofactor. Huge difference in Dalton weight, right? So how did I do that? You guys, I didn't go to the University of For Life. I just listen and learn. You've all heard me say it right now. So practice in front of the, and you might feel weird at first. Kind of like, well, I'm not a doctor. How can I talk about transfer factor? I'm not a doctor. Sure you can. Everything that we've just talked about right now is factual. I'm not making it up. If you want to validate it, go look at the research. You can go on forlife.com and go to science and scroll down, and you can even look at some of the studies there if you really want to get into it. All right. But to the average person, this is simply sharing information. Now, having said that, I'll finish with this. At the end of the day, what we're looking for is results. All this knowledge, it should make you more confident, especially when you practice it. All right. So what's the practice part? Action, 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 action every day. Action, action, action. That action creates more confidence and you get more knowledge. And guess what the action does? It creates results. And what's the results? Look, it's funny because I was watching, the Men Who Made America. We talked about Cornelius Vanderbilt and John D. Rockefeller and all that. And the one thing they talked about is what they look for is results. It's all about, at the end of the day, results. You see? Well, one way we measure results is in money. You know, it's not the only way. I mean, there's people like Mahatma Gandhi and Mother Teresa, and I wouldn't say they were rich people, but they did get results. All right. So you don't have to be rich to get results, but most days, the way you keep score with results is money. That guy over there is driving a Rolls Royce or Mercedes Benz. This one over here has to walk or take the bus. That's how we are as a society. So at the end of the day, action is what creates this results. And yes, I won't lie, you know, results, when you get results, it's life-changing. But the results only comes from the action. Action tends to come from confidence. When you become confident, the confidence comes from knowledge, but it's a cycle. You got to do some of those to keep it going. So again, we've gone 6 minutes over. So you guys, today, I guess I really dove into a lot of areas here, but transfer factor, I love it. Hopefully you love it. You can share it with people, send links out to them. I'm telling you guys, the next few years, you may not see anything like this again. I don't know, where the timing of being with a debt-free company with a unique product that's life-changing for people, bringing value to their life. Many people are going to be looking for ways to make money. This is a great way to make extra money or even have a life-changing career where you want to learn to develop a network, because when you develop a network, it's built on relationships. You keep relationships, you keep your network. For Life will continue to produce innovative products, bringing things to us. But we've got a long ways to go to get transfer factor out there to the world. David Lisenby gave us a goal here in America, 3 million new homes, all right, by the end of this decade, that are using our products. That's a heavy goal, but we broke it down. If we all sponsored 3 people a month here in the US, we'll hit that goal. Then we got the whole world, all right? So thanks you guys. Claudia, I'll turn it back over to you. Let's see if there's any questions. If anybody has any questions at all, please raise your hand and we'll address those. If not, we'll finish up. Thank you.
Dave, we do have a question, and I did want to take at least 5 minutes to let Gabby talk about it. We did such a good meeting with Gabby in Spanish, but if anybody needs to leave to go take action, you have leads to follow up and things to do, feel free to go. If you have a few more minutes, we're just going to finish. Betty says, can you take all the supplements at one or separate dosage?
Okay, yeah, we didn't get into dosage. Let me just talk about that real quick. When it comes to dosing, I just tell people, look, from my experience, if you're already healthy and you're feeling good, you don't have any issues, just take what's on the bottle, what's recommended. Like in a lot of your markets out there outside the US, it's 3 a day, okay? And I'll say this, separate dosing is always better. Transfer factors, there is a half-life, we call it. So when you take that first capsule in the morning after sleeping, you get the biggest impact in the morning. But then throughout the day, as starts to wane or taper off, you take another one and you get benefit. And in the evening, you take another one 3 times a day. All right, that's it. If you're doing it just to maintain good health and feel good. If you are under stress, you might have a cold, something's coming on, you're starting to feel sick a little bit, or you've got a slight issue of something, double the dosage. I tell people, just double up on it. And so a lot of times, I might talk to someone and say, I'm doubling up on transfer factor because I feel something coming on, sore throat, whatever it might be, upper respiratory issue, excuse me. So double up. If you're in crisis mode, that means like Monica, our neighbor had cancer and so forth. It becomes now more of an economic issue. I don't like to tell someone, well, take 10 times the dosage. We do know this. You cannot take too much. There is no toxic level. Those studies have been conducted time after time. Just about the majority of studies they'll do a toxicity study. Now, the one I'm aware of was the Juness study here, actually in California, University of Irvine. Like what was it? I think 1,000 times the dosage they went up to. Zero toxicity, zero. So you can't take too much. That's why Gabby and I were never afraid when Brandon, our son, when he was 2, he ate a whole bottle. He found a bottle and got the lid off it, just started eating all the capsules, and they were stuck to his face from all the slobber. But we didn't worry about it. All right. Economically, well, there goes a bottle. So I tell people, if you're in crisis, take 4 times. In other words, double it again. So you take the dosage if you're feeling fine for prevention. If you're feeling stressed, double up 4 times if you're in crisis. Now, if you want to go higher than that, it's up to you. It comes down to an economic issue. But to go 10, 15, 20 times, taking a whole bottle of transfer factor, what does it do? Saturate your body. But as I mentioned before, you want to take transfer factors over time. You want to provide continual education, continual modulation of your immune system. Okay. Now, can you take transfer factors with other products? Yes. Our products are designed actually that you can take them all together. All right. That's why we have Right Start. With Right Start, you're getting a lot of different, you're getting all your vitamins, your minerals, your antioxidants, transfer factors, your essential fatty acids. All of that's coming in Right Start. So when I talk to someone that says, what do you recommend just for a good overall everyday product? Right Start. It's a full regimen. All right. If you're taking anything else, vitamin C, B complex, get rid of that. Take our Right Start. That's all you need to take. Now, if you've got an issue that you need something else, okay, I understand that because that's more targeted. But just for overall general wellness, Right Start's my favorite product. So yes, you can, and you can even take transfer factors. If someone's taking some sort of medicine, the only drug that we do not recommend taking transfer factors is if you're on immunosuppressive medication. In other words, you've had an organ transplant and they're trying to suppress the immune system. You don't want to come in and all of a sudden try to elevate it or activate it. All right. So that's the only time we would say, but of course, the wise thing to do is you talk to your doctor, and that can also lead to some unfortunate, situations because a lot of doctors are not educated on transfer factor. Dr. Ojina is, you know? And so doctors, if they're not educated on something, they'll just tend to take the easy road, the path of least resistance, which is, I don't recommend it. All right. They don't know anything about it. But that's changing. We've got a lot of doctors now that are involved with transfer factors. In fact, on PubMed, there's thousands of clinical scientific studies on PubMed, which is what doctors subscribe to when they're researching a drug for a particular condition. But yes, you can combine transfer factors with pretty much anything out there. So I hope that answers that question. Are there
Thank you, Dave. Now I'm going to give the mic to Gabby.
Good morning or good evening or good afternoon, wherever in the world you are. I wanted to just give you guys a few tips here. We have to do a Zoom on samples and preparing for samples and preparing to prospect people. Being a platinum, you would think I have it all together, but sometimes I don't. Most of the time I don't actually. I'm very guilty of not being prepared. Since Dave and I always talk about For Life and how the products have changed our lives, we don't carry business cards sometimes, or we don't carry samples. But I would like to suggest that if you have business cards made, or when you have your social media, you add the words certified transferceutical science expert or coach. And why is that? Because if you've done your homework on transfer factor, if you've done your research, so you will be able to prospect other people, you are a certified transferceutical science expert, okay? And most of you are. So add it to your business card, okay? And believe me, it's a very impressive title. It really is. Because people will ask you, what is transferceutical science? Well, it's basically our transfer factor molecule. And sometimes when I'm typing in transferceutical science on my phone, it doesn't recognize the word. It's almost like we made it up. Because really it's not recognized worldwide as a word. So we didn't make it up. We just know we are transferceutical science, which means that it is innovative. It is basically a new title for those that know about immune molecules, transfer factor. So add it to your business card in any social media platforms you have at this time. So write it down, certified transferceutical science expert, or you can say coach, whichever one you want to use. Also, last week I talked about my, when I went to go get my pedicure. If you guys know the story, I'm not going to tell it again, but this week I'm going to go and prospect every single lady that works at the nail salon, because now and then I sell collagen, or I sell probiotics, or I sell aqua to these ladies that I consistently go to the same salon. So basically my follow-up is going to be taking them both flavors of collagen, and I've prepared my QR labels, my information on the back with my phone number and website, and my business cards with my QR code on the back. So yes, you do have to prepare, and that's why I say this should be another type of Zoom call, so we can go over what I do when I go prospect people or just meet people that are interested in our products. And everywhere I go, I take a sample, well, most of the time, but like, let's say like this weekend, Dave and I went to go get a facial, and it was actually a friend that I met at the dentist office, okay? And we networked, she networked because I told her this horrible story about a dermatologist that took my money She took $350 and did nothing for me because she said there's nothing she could do, but the consultation was going to cost me $350 for her to tell me there's nothing she could do for my skin because she's an idiot. I'm sorry, she was. And because she said that I had to use her vitamin C and her pigment removal cream before she could do any laser procedure on me. And those creams were going to cost me another $300. That's why I called her an idiot. Because she's the first dermatologist that has ever told me that. She just doesn't know her job. That's why I wish I was a dermatologist. In another lifetime, I would have been. So anyway, these are my tips for Monday. Add transfer science to your business card, and we will get to the sample prepping on another Zoom call. So we are halfway through the month, okay? Which means that if we can only sign up 3 people, each of us, 3 people a month, whether they be customers or affiliates. Your customers are just as valuable as your affiliates. Why is that? Because your customers, after using the products and knowing the value of your immune system, will become affiliates. That's how we've been able to build our business worldwide. So with that, I'm handing it back to Claudia. Thank you.
Thank you, Gabby. And yes, there's one important thing. I know that we cannot have more and more meetings because we need to be out there taking action. But yes, we will again use the next Mentor Monday where Gabby and I will be teaching again more tools, because we also need to look professional, dress, look, and present the part, because sometimes we show up and we're not prepared. And so how can we be the face of Transfer Factor if we don't know how to talk about it, if we don't have the tools prepared, if we don't know how to show the QR code? So it's all in one. So announcement, tomorrow, Health Talk with Dr. Gina. Tomorrow evening for the Western Hemisphere, we have our training night, Wednesday, opportunity night. And I have to talk to Dr. Regina because I actually took off the coaching and the Saturday meetings because they're now doing a lot of face-to-face. So we might add another BOP with Dave. We were thinking about maybe once a month or twice a month in English for the daytime people. But we'll see. If you guys need it, then you need to write us and say, yes, we would like a business opportunity where to bring our people, but it'll be to bring brand new people, not to see Dave present over and over and not bring new people, because that's why we took them off. So Dave is going to close us up. If there's any more questions, write them on the chat because we're closing after Dave, and thank you for being here.
Thanks, Claudia. Just real quick, I'm scrolling through the chat. I think we addressed Betty's question. Betty Lopez had asked about taking all supplements once or separate dosage. I do the same thing, Betty. I mean, I'll have a Pro-TF at any time during the day. I take my Energy Go sticks any time of the day. Well, except I don't do it in the evening time. I don't want to be up vacuuming the house all night. Rio Vita, I'll just take some of those whenever I feel like it. Gold Factor, try to take that on an empty stomach is recommended. So I try to have that one first thing in the morning or maybe before I'm going to bed. But yeah, I'm the same way. I just, during the daytime, there's stuff you go in our kitchen, the countertop's got all kinds of products. So I might see a Rio Vita sticks real quick and I'll just grab that and throw it in some water. I'll even message Gabby and say, look, bring me a boost, an immune boost. I'm getting ready for a Zoom. So I just mix them up all throughout the day. The other question, Sonia, about immunotherapy. If you're going through immunotherapy, again, should you take Transfer Factor? Yes, 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 yes. You want to continuously provide education for the immune system, as well as keeping it strong, vigilant. So any type of immune therapy you're going through, Transfer Factor, there's really no situation that you wouldn't take Transfer Factor. The only time, like I said, is if you're on immunosuppressive. Now, immunotherapy, unless that's what you mean, Sonia, if you're taking an immunosuppressant, where it is specifically designed to suppress the immune system so your body can accept a particular organ. But if you're going through a cancer treatment, that's different. Yeah, you take transfer factor, definitely. So hopefully I've answered those. And everyone, thanks, Sonia. I see your message here.
Yeah, one more thing. We had a lot of new people today, and so I do want to welcome everybody, but I could not keep track of a lot of new names. So if you are new, please let us know. We want to make sure that we have you on the chats. If you are a leader and see somebody that you invited in the meeting, please let us know, because I do see a whole bunch of new names. So that is great news. New names is always good. But one more thing that we actually talked with Dave in the smaller meetings, and for those of you that are leaders, we need to try and maximize our time and minimize the reading time, the WhatsApp time, everything, so that we can actually go and convert leads. So it is super important, and we're going to say it every time in every meeting. So leaders, I need you to write a note on this. We're going to go back to really using in English and Spanish and Portuguese, but especially English and Spanish, using the calendar as the way of knowing what's happening. I'm talking to the leaders. If you're new, it's not to you. You can still be babied a little, but I'm going to give you an example. Today, somebody called me, and I try to put it as much as I can, the flyer with the little thing that has the link and everything. And that person said, can you send me not the flyer, but the verbiage? And so I'm thinking, but I already put it in another 3 groups. Is it because maybe this person doesn't know that? And I already put it in 2 Facebook pages. So I try and post it in as much places as I can. But my point is, it's all in the website. So the first thing I do is create the website so we have it there for everybody. So what we have committed to do with Dave is that we will add more information so that we thought at the beginning it wasn't important, but it could be important to you. Who is the speaker? And, just a little more info. In Spanish, we have it with every single person that is. But what we want to get away from is you needing to be reminded. We are leaders. We have to be leaders of our teams. And so because first of all, chats are too full. And so I understand that sometimes there may be a meeting that is postponed or canceled, so that could happen. But what we want is to get away in a beautiful way from babysitting so much the teams. If you have a new person, absolutely, you need to tell your new person, this is how you do it, this is the link, click here, do this and that. But what I find is that I have very aged leaders asking me to baby them. And so and it's not just this room. It's a lot of the other rooms, not only in English. Don't take it personally, please. We like to baby you, but as we baby you more, first of all, it takes a lot of time from Dave, Gabby, and myself that could be used to do other things like uploading YouTube for you guys. So if I'm babysitting where the meetings are, I don't have time to upload YouTube. So this is where I need all the leaders to take charge, make sure you're administrating your teams properly and getting people to the meeting. Because what happens is that I do see that when I babysit and I'm like, the room is open, hurry up, get into here, then everybody comes in. Why am I having to chase everybody to come into the room like a little shepherd getting the sheep or chicken getting the little chicks, right? So that's my point. My point is, let's move up into this leadership. Let's move up into taking ownership of our business and getting the people to the meeting on time and ready to go without so many messages, because it's good use of your time. Some of the ones that do read the messages, they're like, oh, here's Claudia again, writing it 3 times that, the Zoom is open or whatever. So thank you. And for the new people, don't worry, I'm not normally this bossy and just doing some administration today. So thank you. We love you. And thank you so much for all the new people that came into our room today. We have Mentor Monday every Monday. And in a couple of hours, if you're Spanish, we'll have it in Spanish, but not with Dave today. It's going to be Pedro Aguto. Evening one is tomorrow. Bring your people to training tomorrow. Thank you so much and have a great, great day and great night for Africa. Bye-bye.
Unmute everybody, give us some energy. Let's go. Keep going, keep growing, keep building. Take transfer factor to the world.
Thank you so much, you guys.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Alex, for posting the website.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Bye.
Dr. Regina. Tomorrow, Dr.
Bye-bye.
Regina.
Thank you. Have a
Hello,
great day.
Thank you very
Bye.
much.
Yeah,
We love
yeah.
you.
Don't miss
Thank you.
it. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Florence.